Good morning. How's everybody? I don't know what happened to the video. It just disappeared again. I don't know what does that, but it happens. Oh, so I was going over some stuff. Trump's media accounting firm, big scandal. You know, and I was saying that they ought to change Donald's name from Donald J. Trump to Donald Fraud Trump. It's amazing, but yet still people want him elected. And one of the things that was coming out today, some of the reporters, and this isn't something new for me. This is something I've realized for a while, that he's not going to accept the results of the election unless he wins. And if he wins, the only way you're going to get rid of him after that is if he dies naturally or something illegal happens to him. All right? Because he's not going to leave. He's just going to sit there and spend money. Party city, play golf everywhere, He'll probably take the Grand Canyon and convert it into a 36-hole golf course or something. I mean, this is just the way this man thinks. He's just not smart. Manipulation, people that do manipulate other people aren't really that smart. They're clever. Their understanding of simple human emotion and whatnot makes them very dangerous people, because they don't understand the effects of what they do. They forget this cause and effect, yin and yang. For every reaction there is an equal or opposite reaction. These people like Trump don't understand that. He thinks everybody loves him. All right, sort of like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They say she's realizing everybody hates her. No, she's not. She hasn't realized it yet. She thinks that there's a conspiracy against her, and that's why people are not writing positive things about her and whatnot. She's a douchebag. She's getting what she deserves. Trump will get his. I mean, this trial is nothing. If he loses it, it's nothing. You put him in jail, he'll get elected. Because people will say, oh, look at the poor little guy, little fat guy. The poor little fat guy don't give a shit about you. He's going to release criminals when he gets in there. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the law. All Trump cares about, and I think you can get a few psychiatrists to sit in and say this, all Donald Trump cares about is himself. He does nothing unless he sees some sort of benefit for him personally. All right? He's not a charitable person. All right? If he gives money to charity, so he gets a bigger tax deduction, he gets to keep more of the money he doesn't have, supposedly. I don't think maybe all rich people are like that. I don't know. I don't believe when they tell you they're giving away all their money. They're not going to give their kids any money. I don't think the deal with Trump is that he doesn't have any money. He has properties. He owns things that are worth money, and that he's inflated the cost of, so that he can appear to have more money. He doesn't have more money, he has more wealth. That's something people have a difficulty understanding. Wealth doesn't transfer into cash. Wealth means if you divest yourself of something, somebody's going to pay you money for that. Okay? And the government's going to take a huge chunk out of that. That's why they never divest themselves. What Trump did is he's used his hotels to mortgage for security for mortgages. It was so mortgaged that he couldn't put up the hotel for any kind of bond or anything, So if you see that and you understand that, he doesn't have property that he can put up for bonds or anything, because it's all mortgaged to the hilt. That's how he operates. He's operated supposedly he has the original 200 and some odd $1 million that his father left him when he died. This is how Trump operates. That was part of the art of the deal. Never use your own money. You can't lose. Okay? He files bankruptcy. He doesn't lose. Everybody around him loses, but he doesn't lose. And I've seen this, and I understand it. I understand the basics of this. I'm not into all the little financial details of it, but I'm into the basics of this. And this is why this man can't be allowed to run a government. They say we want a businessman. The original concept was we want a successful businessman. He's not a successful businessman in reality. He's a paper businessman. He doesn't have the money to do it. Look, as an ex-president of the United States, he walks in and he plays golf wherever he wants to, because it's like O.J. Simpson could play golf wherever he wanted to, and not everywhere he wanted to, but a lot of it because it was O.J. Simpson. They wanted to have him there. Movie stars get that kind of treatment. They don't pay for stuff because the restaurants or the movie theaters or wherever they go think there's some sort of benefit to having him there, because they'll think, oh, he's going to be there all the time. My understanding is that the golf course he owns in New Jersey isn't in the best, isn't in the same shape it was when he bought it. The same thing with Mar-a-Lago. It's the same thing down there. They need work, and he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to go out and dig divots and play golf, and that's it. And lie about his golf scores. There's nobody I've seen with his physical characteristics that plays golf with the scores that he claims to have had. Okay? Nobody. All right? You look at Trevino. Trevino is closest to the build. But not at that age, he's not going to win any tournaments at that age. I don't think Trevino, I don't even know if Lee is still alive, but he's not going to play golf that way now. Look at anatomy, and you see all the muscles that have to come into play when you take a swing, all right? Look at me, all right? I have absolutely no, what they call brachius tendon here, okay? So what do I got? I got a lot of loose flesh here. I have no, bulging bicep there, okay? This arm, this wrist, I have carpal tunnel, and if I put any kind of pressure in it, it'll start shaking like a leaf, So, and I'm 78 years old. I was at the same age as they are. I abused my body a lot when I was younger. I mean, I did things I'm not going to get into everything I did. It wasn't illegal. It was immoral, but it wasn't illegal. And I drank a lot, and I had accidents and injured myself and whatnot because I took chances that you shouldn't take. Dared my body to do something. What's that? Oh. Okay. Anyhow, that's why I have all these bandages on, because I sat in the sun for 16 hours a day fishing because I loved it. I loved every minute of it. In the last 12 years I've been in Colombia, I haven't done it for 5 minutes. So what I do, I love my dog and the walks that we take together. That's my life now. I loved my cat when I had him. He and I used to play all the time. He'd come sit in my lap and cuddle with me. Now, it used to be Antonia would come jump up in the chair and sit with me. Now Lucy jumps up in the chair and sits with me. She's not here. Sometimes she sneaks in and lays down on the bed behind me, but she's not here today. But Donald Trump, man, that's a dangerous man. I don't think people understand the word danger when you talk about Trump. Because you can do things by presidential order, basically, and he can do things that will screw up this country so bad and piss off everybody that we know so bad that Putin's going to be able to walk into this country. Putin wants Trump president because he believes that in the second term that Trump will actually allow Russian troops on American soil. Okay, this is because he's going to need some sort of police force, because I don't think every American soldier or police officer is going to be willing to lay down their life for that scumbag. Okay? I mean, that's just something that happens in the world. You know, you take an oath, but the oath, when you break your oath, like when he goes and starts doing illegal things and screwing things up and everything and what have you, when he does that, or any president does that, there's a thing in the code of conduct that they don't have to follow those orders. You know, if they don't, they're not necessarily going to be charged with treason. Right? So I see some very, I don't know whether I'll be around, but I see some violence coming to the country. Oh, wow. I hope it isn't really brutal, and I hope they're able to defeat this moron and his policies and everything that he's got going, you know. I'm just looking at some wires underneath. I'm sorry. Look at this. This is disgusting. It's not the shirt. It's me. So, you know, it's like things are changing, and I don't necessarily think they're changing for the better, like my parents used to tell me, you know. And I always use this as an example. I said, well, my mother and father, when I talking to me when I was growing up, says, you're going to have things so much better. The world's going to be such a better place. Well, when I was growing up, my mother stayed home and didn't have to work. There was no shortage of money. Until my father started seriously drinking. Then we had some problems, but there was no shortage of money. We were able to live a very, very nice life, upper middle class. Okay, lived on the streets with the rich people and all that, you know. And then I looked at myself when I was 21, and I was 21. Where was I? I was 21 and starting basic training, looking at possibly ending up in Vietnam. I didn't. But before that happened, my father got sick. My mother couldn't find a job because she wasn't really trained for anything. She couldn't get a credit card. Okay? Women were considered almost second-class citizens, and this is 1960, around 1960. But then things started to change. She had friends help her. She got a job, a good job. And yeah, we struggled. She struggled. I went out on my own. I just felt it was a good thing to do at the time. But I always knew that my family was there to back me up. You know, if anything really bad happened, my family was there. But I lived a good life. I'm living a good life now, but I couldn't live this. If I was in the United States, I would not be living in a 3-bedroom apartment with a balcony and security and everything else. After I paid my rent and where I used to live, I wouldn't have any money left. You know, for my Social Security check, for food. I wouldn't have cable, internet, Netflix, all that stuff. You know, I wouldn't have any of that. I wouldn't be able to click on Amazon and buy whatever I wanted. You know, pretty much. Things aren't the same there anymore. Things changed. No, you don't see single-parent households unless they're forced into that by a sudden divorce or a death. People don't go out and, unless they're very intelligent and making very, very, very good money. But the average person cannot survive. Men can, women can't. All right, men are still able to get other jobs or better paying jobs and whatever, and they can pull together, and plus the fact they will live in a less than stellar neighborhood, you know. So I don't think things are any better now than when I think they were better. Were certain things better back then? Yes. Was segregation a better form? No, that was a horrible way to live. Okay, I didn't know that much about it until I was in the sixth grade or something like that, 5th or 6th grade, where I found out what segregation meant. And when I got out of high school, I still didn't know the whole story behind it. But then I realized something after I graduated high school. I had more black friends than I did white friends. there were white people bailed out of town. They didn't want to deal with the black people. So I stayed, and the people I was friends with in high school are still friends. I mean, you know, I don't know how many are still alive because everybody was older than I was in my senior year. The average age was like 18 and a half for graduation. I was a year behind. I was a year younger than that. I was just barely 17 and a half when I graduated high school. I wasn't 17 and a half. Was I? No, I was about 17, 10, and 5 months. Well, look, I can't find anything exciting to talk about right now. I have to do some research on some news channels and whatnot because this Google and stuff like that ain't really cutting it. So, so for me to be able to talk relatively coherent about some of the things that are going on. But anyhow, you guys, we're going to talk tomorrow, and but just remember these things I tell you. You know, I'm not the brightest person on the face of the earth, but I could see nothing but trouble ahead if Trump is elected president. And if you've never faced trouble like that, it's going to be a shock. All right. Like, I'm not shocked by, let me just continue from there. I'm not shocked by the college protests and whatnot, because I remember Kent State. I remember the anti-war protests that are not, this is not even close to that. Okay, because there's no draft, there's no constrict, they're not going to go anywhere. They don't care anymore. There's nothing to motivate them. And to be honest with you, it's the time of year. It's the same thing down here. Every May, the end of April, beginning of May, as final exams approach, there's all kinds of protesting going on everywhere. The weather's nice, they don't mind being outside. Classes aren't that important if you're a senior or whatever. Even undergraduate classes aren't all that important. You could skip a few classes. A lot of people are off already, and they're just, you know, hanging around the campuses until they close them down. You know. Oh well, listen, I'm out of here. I'm getting bored. I'm boring myself right now. So we'll talk either later or tomorrow. Have a good one.